Now, the reason that this is so significant, aside from the fact that it's new footage, they showed him parking, they showed that he has a distinct car, and I'm going to be very curious if Tyler Robinson's defense is that that's not him, because that's what many people have been saying for months and months and months. That's not him, that's a fake, that's somebody else. I've seen AI-enhanced photos that make it look like it's somebody else. So the question is the defense going to try to claim that this is not him at all?
Just when it looked like the storm of questions surrounding Tyler Robinson might finally be settling down, another twist suddenly pushed the story right back into the spotlight. This time, the attention wasn't focused directly on Tyler, but on a man some social media users have claimed is connected to Erika's family, a figure who had barely been mentioned in the wider conversation until recently. Since Charlie's tragic passing, online communities have spent countless hours debating whether Tyler was truly the person shown in surveillance footage connected to the case. Viewers have paused clips frame by frame, compared physical features, and searched for anything they believe could support or challenge the public narrative. Then, a new photo began making the rounds online, and the speculation kicked into overdrive. Some viewers argued that the person in the image looked noticeably different from Tyler, while others warned that blurry footage, camera angles, lighting, and image quality can easily make comparisons unreliable. Things became even more intense when social media users claimed the mystery man shared similarities with Erika's alleged half-brother. They pointed toward everything from chin shape and facial features to small marks they believed appeared similar.
It's the individual in the red t-shirt and the shorts and the shoes.
Do you believe you recognize who that person is?
Yes.
Who is that?
I believe that's Tyler Robinson.
Almost immediately, theories started flying, with people asking whether the resemblance was simply coincidence or whether there was something more worth examining. However, none of these visual comparisons alone prove that the individuals are the same person, and the claims spreading online remain unverified. Still, that didn't stop the story from gaining serious traction. Photos reportedly connected to a man identified online as Travis began circulating rapidly, surprising viewers who said they had never heard much about this alleged family connection before. Suddenly, a person who had barely been part of the public discussion was being pulled directly into one of the internet's most closely analyzed stories. But even that wasn't what truly sent the conversation into overdrive. The biggest reaction came after users began comparing those circulating photos with a person seen in stairwell surveillance footage reportedly connected to Utah Valley University on September 10, 2025, the day Charlie tragically lost his life. One widely shared social media post claimed that the man shown in the footage was Travis and attempted to connect him directly to Erika's family. That claim quickly spread, despite the lack of publicly verified evidence establishing that identification. Soon, side-by-side images were everywhere.
From my viewing and seeing Mr. Robinson on the video, it's the same person.
He's noticeably wearing different clothing.
He is wearing different clothing, and he also is walking with a gait or a limp in this video.
With a gait or what?
Limp.
Online users compared height, body type, facial structure, clothing, and even glasses, treating every tiny similarity as another potential clue. For some viewers, the comparisons raised genuine questions. For others, it looked like another example of internet speculation moving much faster than confirmed facts. Either way, the conversation shifted dramatically, and thousands of people began examining details they had previously overlooked. The surveillance footage itself has remained one of the biggest sources of debate, largely because viewers say the available images are difficult to interpret clearly. Grainy footage and limited angles can leave plenty of room for different conclusions, which is exactly why amateur online investigations can become complicated so quickly. Once the new photos surfaced, curious users began digging into the background of the man they believed was shown in them. Viral posts circulated claims about his profession, athletic background, and other personal details, attempting to build a larger picture around his identity. But this is where the line between legitimate questions and unsupported internet theories becomes especially important. A resemblance in photographs does not establish involvement in a case, and personal details circulating on social media should not automatically be treated as verified evidence. Still, the sheer speed at which these claims spread shows just how many people remain unconvinced that every question surrounding the case has been fully answered.
Was this a case where you had microscopic dissimilarity, but in your opinion, it was insufficient to form a conclusion of source exclusion?
No, my conclusion is inconclusive. Just as it says in the appendix, there is a lack of sufficient agreement and sufficient disagreement, so I'm unable to say one way or another.
Okay, but I guess my question is, were there points of dissimilarity between the question and the known bullets?
Again, there was sufficient agreement and there was not sufficient agreement or sufficient disagreement.
Questions about Tyler Robinson's alleged role have been circulating since the case first captured widespread attention. According to public discussion surrounding the story, people close to Tyler have reportedly pushed back against the idea that he was someone naturally inclined towards serious violence or intentional harm. Of course, family members defending someone close to them is not unusual, and those statements alone cannot determine what actually happened. What has kept the debate alive, however, is that some public commentators and people connected to Charlie have also raised broader questions about whether the publicly known account tells the entire story. Candace Owens has been among the prominent voices discussing unanswered questions surrounding the case. While acknowledging different possibilities regarding Tyler's alleged involvement, she has also publicly questioned whether additional people or circumstances could have played a role. Those comments have added another layer to an already complicated online debate. Some observers have focused on claims that Tyler appeared to possess information or knowledge they found difficult to explain based solely on the publicly discussed motive. Others argue that speculation should remain separate from established evidence until investigators or court proceedings provide clearer answers. And that distinction matters.
To all of the people that are saying that these text messages in the Tyler Robinson case are fake, if you're pointing out that, maybe the fingers look weird or the phone is cracked, listen, if you're pointing out any of this other stuff, you've already skipped the craziest, most obvious part, which is the prosecution is showing a photo of a phone that they have access to. Look at it. They are logged in. They are showing a photo outside of the phone rather than just a screenshot. Think about this.
Because while the internet may be connecting photographs, timelines, and perceived similarities at lightning speed, none of those theories should be treated as proven simply because they have gone viral. For now, the sudden attention surrounding the alleged family connection has opened yet another chapter in a case already packed with questions, and the online debate is showing no signs of slowing down. But this is where the story took another unexpected turn. As more viewers began studying the publicly circulated footage frame by frame, details that had previously received little attention suddenly became major talking points online. If you've already watched the clips, you've probably seen how they are presented as part of the prosecution's timeline for September 10. For those who haven't, the footage reportedly shows Tyler Robinson arriving on campus and moving through areas later connected to the incident involving Charlie. In one sequence, he appears to be wearing a bright red shirt, while later footage reportedly shows a person dressed in darker clothing. Another sequence appears to show someone making their way toward a rooftop area before later coming back down. But the clip that really got people talking was the stairwell footage. Because of its limited quality and difficult viewing angles, viewers began examining every movement, looking for details they believed might help explain what they were seeing. In the stairwell sequence, the person identified by prosecutors as Tyler appears to walk with an unusual gait. According to the prosecution's reported interpretation,
and without belaboring the point, the court can imagine our concern that the media and the state who control this exhibit and the publication of this exhibit in the courtroom, as per the court's orders, failed to comply with this court's orders after all of the effort that we made and the court made to make sure that the court balanced everybody's rights, including the rights that we're concerned about, which are Mr. Robinson's.
That movement may have been connected to an attempt to conceal a weapon inside his clothing. But online viewers quickly focused on another piece of footage that they felt complicated that explanation. A person believed to be Tyler is reportedly seen making a significant jump from a rooftop and landing without an obvious sign of major difficulty. That contrast immediately sparked debate. Some questioned how the same person could appear to move awkwardly in one clip, yet display much greater mobility in another. Of course, separate moments, camera angles, adrenaline, clothing, and other factors could potentially explain differences in movement. Still, internet investigators began floating a much more dramatic theory that perhaps the individual seen across every piece of surveillance footage was not necessarily the same person. That theory remains unverified, but it gained even more attention once photos of Erika's alleged family connection began circulating online. Some users started comparing those images directly with the person shown in the stairwell footage, pointing toward perceived similarities in facial structure, body type, and other physical features. Before long, side-by-side comparisons were spreading everywhere. To supporters of the theory, these similarities seemed significant. To skeptics, it was another case of people trying to identify someone from low-quality surveillance images where lighting and angles can dramatically change a person's appearance. Either way, the debate created a major question in the minds of viewers. If there is uncertainty about who appears in a particular clip, how confidently can the public reconstruct the entire timeline from surveillance footage alone? That doesn't mean the official case suddenly falls apart, but it does explain why these visual comparisons have become such a massive point of discussion. And once people started questioning one part of the timeline, they naturally began revisiting other pieces of the case. Online discussions have repeatedly focused on reported forensic evidence, including questions surrounding fragments recovered during the investigation, and whether publicly available information clearly establishes a direct match to a weapon associated with Tyler. Without access to the complete forensic record and expert testimony, however, outside observers cannot reliably determine what those findings ultimately prove. What is clear is that viewers see forensic evidence as potentially crucial because it could provide something far stronger than speculation based on blurry photographs or physical resemblance. Then there are the reported text messages allegedly connected to Tyler, which have created an entirely separate debate. Some online commentators have described the wording as unusually formal or unnatural, leading them to question whether the messages accurately reflect how the people involved normally communicated. Others have pointed out that messages can sound strange when removed from their original context, and personal writing styles vary dramatically. Without verified context surrounding every message, interpreting tone alone is hardly enough to establish what happened. Still, when all these separate questions are placed side by side, the changing clothing, the differences in movement, the rooftop footage, the stairwell images, the forensic questions, and the disputed interpretation of the messages, it becomes easier to understand why the online conversation refuses to disappear. None of these points independently proves that another person was impersonating Tyler, nor do visual similarities establish that Travis Quinto was the person captured on camera. But that hasn't stopped viewers from examining every available detail. One particular online comment gained significant attention after claiming that the resemblance between Travis and the unidentified-looking figure in the stairwell footage was too noticeable to ignore. That observation quickly became another major talking point, pushing people to compare screenshots, facial features, and body proportions all over again. Yet, for all the dramatic theories spreading across social media, the central issue remains the same. Internet comparisons can raise questions, but they cannot substitute for verified identification, forensic analysis, or evidence tested through the proper legal process. And right now, that gap between what some viewers believe they see and what can actually be proven is exactly what keeps this complicated story spinning in so many different directions. If someone close to me were at the center of a situation this serious, I'd want every available camera angle reviewed and every credible lead carefully examined. That doesn't mean anyone connected to Charlie had prior knowledge of what happened, and there is no verified evidence presented here suggesting that. But it does explain why so many people online are asking for greater clarity instead of jumping straight to conclusions. When details appear incomplete or open to different interpretations, people naturally want answers, and in this case, the surveillance footage has become one of the biggest sources of debate. Then came the development that sent the conversation into another gear. According to reports surrounding the case, footage connected to the preliminary proceedings became public in circumstances that sparked controversy and questions about how sensitive evidence was being handled. Tyler Robinson's defense team reportedly objected strongly, raising concerns about the potential impact of releasing material before the legal process had fully played out. To many observers, that reaction was understandable. Evidence presented outside a courtroom can quickly shape public opinion before attorneys have the opportunity to challenge its meaning, context, or interpretation. At the same time, social media users began analyzing how different people connected to the story appeared to react to the footage becoming public. Some interpreted those reactions as supportive of the prosecution's narrative, while others saw nothing unusual at all. But that distinction is important. Public reactions, facial expressions, or secondhand interpretations cannot establish what someone privately knew, believed, or intended. What the release undeniably did, however, was give millions of viewers another piece of material to analyze, and Tyler's public image became tied even more closely to footage that many people had already started treating as definitive evidence. And that brings us to the bigger question hanging over this entire story. Are people searching for facts, or are they searching for details that confirm what they already believe? From early on, there appeared to be strong public confidence in Tyler's alleged responsibility, with statements and media coverage helping shape the wider conversation before the full legal process had reached its conclusion. Erika has reportedly expressed her belief about who was responsible for Charlie's tragic passing, but personal belief and legally established responsibility are not necessarily the same thing. Tyler, like anyone facing serious accusations, is entitled to have the evidence examined through the proper legal process. Meanwhile, online theories have moved in almost every possible direction. Some people believe the publicly presented case against Tyler is convincing. Others argue that questions surrounding the surveillance footage, identification, forensic evidence, and reported messages deserve closer examination. And then there are those pushing theories involving additional individuals but without verified evidence. Those claims must remain exactly what they are: theories. The sudden focus on Travis and the alleged resemblance to a figure seen in surveillance footage adds yet another layer. But resemblance alone is not proof of identity or involvement. Two people can share similar features, clothing, glasses, or body types without having any connection to the same event. Grainy CCTV footage makes those comparisons even more difficult. Until reliable evidence establishes otherwise, it would be unfair to present any person circulating in online theories as being involved simply because social media users believe two images look similar. Still, the controversy reveals something important about why this case continues to capture so much attention. People feel that there are gaps they want explained. They want to understand the timeline. They want clearer information about the footage. They want to know how investigators reach their conclusions and how each piece of evidence fits together. Those are reasonable questions, but the answers have to come from verified facts rather than viral posts or side-by-side photographs. As the legal process continues, more information may eventually provide clarity about what happened and why. Until then, the strongest approach is to keep an open mind, separate confirmed evidence from online speculation, and avoid deciding that any unverified theory must automatically be true. Justice depends on evidence being carefully examined, challenged, and tested, not on whichever theory becomes the loudest on social media. So where does that leave the questions surrounding Tyler, the surveillance footage, and the mysterious comparisons now spreading across the internet? For the moment, there is still a major difference between what has been alleged, what people believe they see, and what can actually be proven. The coming developments could answer some of those questions or potentially raise entirely new ones. What do you think about everything surrounding this case? Do you believe the surveillance footage deserves closer examination, or do you think online investigators are reading too much into blurry images and coincidences? Drop your thoughts in the comments and keep the conversation respectful. If you enjoyed this deep dive, make sure to like the video, subscribe for more stories, and share this with someone who might have their own take on the situation. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.